Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mitch. Over a year ago, I made a video showing how to log into your Arch Linux system and do a repair when you can't get into it. So today I'm going to remake the video because someone was asking me about it and because I think I'm doing a better job now. So let's get to it. In my videos, I'm always encouraging people to download my configuration files from my GitLab repository. And if you didn't, you should do it. And if you already did, you should do a git pull because I added a file to it yesterday. And every so often I'm adding a file or changing a file, but that's besides the fact. So yesterday I added this file right here, cheroot text. So like I said, if you don't have it, you should already download it. And of course, the command to download my GitLab repository is in the show notes of all my videos. But if you already downloaded my GitLab repository a while back, you'd want to do this. Log into the Mensch directory. And once you're in the Mensch directory that you downloaded a long time ago, you want to do a git pull, hit enter. And it's going to download any files I added or deleted or changed. And if you're already up to date, when you hit enter, it's just going to say already up to date. Once you've downloaded it and updated it, you want to cd into the Arch folder. I'm going to clear the screen and you want to ls it. So this file here, cheroot text, I added it last night. I had it on my system, but it wasn't uploaded into the Mensch directory for you to download. And we are going to cat cheroot text. Okay, and you know what? Let's just clear the screen. Let's cat it. So this are the instructions on how to cheroot into an encrypted drive. These instructions don't show how to cheroot into an unencrypted drive, which is a lot easier. But in this video, I'm going to show both. So first, I'm going to cheroot into an unencrypted drive, which is a lot easier and faster. And then I'm going to cheroot into an encrypted drive, which is a little bit more complicated, but it's doable. And these are the instructions for that. To cheroot into an encrypted drive, so you can download this and you can use this. Now, just to let you know that if you're cherooting into an encrypted drive, number one, it may not be SDA2. Your boot drive may not be SDA1. And when you have an encrypted drive, it's given a name. And the name of your encrypted drive might not be CryptoLux, even though it's encrypted with Lux. The name of the drive might not be CryptoLux, and it may not be, you may not have to put CryptoLux there, so you're going to have to look it up, but I'm going to explain that in the rest of this video. You want to take a thumb drive of Arch Linux on it, plug it into your computer, and boot into it and press F12 or whatever number you have to press, F12, F11, F2, delete, so you can boot onto the thumb drive with Arch Linux on it and boot into your system. And of course, if you're running Arch Linux, you already know how to do this because you installed it, right? But of course, I'm doing this in a virtual machine. So right now, I attached a live ISO of Arch Linux from March 1st, and I attached to it to a virtual machine of Arch Linux that is not encrypted. So first, I'm going to show you how to log into a system that is not encrypted, and then I'm going to show you how to log into a system that is encrypted, because that's a little more complicated. Okay, so we are at the screen here, and this ISO is attached to a not encrypted Arch Linux system. So first of all, I'm going to do set font here -132B, and I'm going to clear the screen. Then I'm going to do lsblk. So this system is a 50 gig installation, has a 50 gig hard drive, and remember, it's a virtual machine. But it's going to be the same as if you're doing it in bare metal. And then I have two partitions. VDA1 is my boot partition, which is 203 megabytes, and VDA2 is where my install is, and that's 49.6 gigabytes. Now, if you're doing this in bare metal, it's probably SDA1 and SDA2, but that's why you do the lsblk to see what it is. If you just need to log into your install and to do something in it, perhaps you want to change you need to fix your user password, or you need to change your root password or something like that, you don't need to mount VDA1. You only need to mount VDA2. But if there's something wrong with your boot menu, and if you change kernels and forgot to make grub, or you need to fix something else in your boot menu, then you have to mount into VDA1 as well. So in this video, I'm going to mount into both. So first I'm going to mount into VDA2, which is where my installation is. And I'm going to type in mount dev VDA2, leave a space /mnt. And now we're mounted into it. And now we could root into it and we could make changes to our user password or do stuff in there without mounting into VDA1. So you only have to mount into VDA1 if you need to fix the grub menu. But I'm going to mount into both. Now I'm going to do mount dev VDA1 space /mnt /boot. Okay, now let's lsblk. So now we can see VDA1 is mounted to mount boot and VDA2 is mounted to mount. Now I'm going to type in this command. Now I'm going to clear the screen. Arch root, leave a space, do /mnt. Okay, now we've mounted into our system. Let's just do an lsblk, and we can see we're mounted into the system. Now, do we have access to our stuff? Let's find out. Let's do ls. Let's cd into home. ls it. Let's cd into mench. So you can see I have the wallpapers that I put in there. Dark cyan is over there at the top. Arch Linux Simply Black is over there. And right under Arch Linux Simply Black is the city JPEG. So I have my 3 wallpapers here, and these are all my files. Now let's cd out of mench. Now we're still in there. So at this point, let's clear the screen. I could change the user password, I could change the root password, or I could make grub if I forgot to make grub after changing a kernel. Because I've mounted into both, I can make grub. Now, once I do my repair, to get out of here, I'm going to type in exit, lsblk, but I've disconnected from the system. I'm back in the live ISO, but I'm still mounted to it. So if I want to disconnect the mount points, the 2 mount points there, I'm going to do umount. Now, it's not unmount. There's no N there, as in Nancy. It's umount. I'm going to do umount -R, leave a space, and do a /mnt. Enter. Now, let's clear the screen. Let's do an lsblk. So now we've unmounted. Not only have we exited it, and we are on the live ISO. Well, we were always on the live ISO. But not only have we exited back to the live ISO, but we've disconnected our mount points. Okay? So now next, I'm going to show you how to connect to and root into an encrypted installation of Arch Linux. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to connect the live ISO from March onto an Arch Linux installation that's encrypted. A virtual machine, of course. So I'm going to pause the video while I connect it, and don't go away because I'll be back. I've logged on with the live Arch Linux ISO from March into an encrypted installation of Arch Linux. And in fact, it's the one I just made a video on the other day where I put 3 desktop environments in, and 2 window managers in, and all my favorite apps. That's besides the point. So the first thing I'm going to do is set font here -132B. And I'm going to clear the screen. So now I'm going to do lsblk. You can see this is a 50 gig. Also, this one is a 50 gig hard drive. VDA1 is 203 megabytes. That's my boot partition. And VDA2 is 49.6 gigabytes. And that's my where the install is. Now, and that's encrypted. VDA2 is encrypted. And like I said in the first part of the video, if this is bare metal, yours is probably SDA1 and SDA2, or it might be something else. So now we need to get the name of the encrypted drive. I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to type in LSBLK with the F flag. The name is crypto_2. Now, I don't know why the underscore is not showing there. This particular installation, I used the automated Arch Linux installer to do the base installation for me and to encrypt the drive for me. So when you use the Arch Linux automated installer to encrypt the drive, it gives the drive a name. Now, the drive always has to have a name when you're encrypting it. And last year, I did a couple of videos where I showed how to manually install Arch Linux the old-fashioned way with encryption. And when I did it that way, also, I had to give the drive, the encrypted drive, a name. But when you do it that way, you can give it whatever name you want. Now, I can't show you it because I deleted those installations. And perhaps it's time for me to do a brand new manual install of Arch Linux with encryption, because I haven't done one this year and we're already into March. That's besides the point. So like I said, when you're doing a manual install of Arch Linux with encryption, you can give it whatever name you want. I gave this the name, my encrypted drive, I named it My Drive or My Install. So you have to know what name it is. And like I said, the automated installer gives it its own name. So I'm only explaining all this because your drive might not be called crypto_lux, even though it's encrypted with Lux. And you might not have to put crypto_lux here. Okay, it could be My Drive. So like I said, when I did my manual Arch Linux installs with encryption, I called it My Drive. And when you're doing your manual install of Arch Linux with encryption, you can call your drive whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it or what you label it. Okay? So let's go back to the VM. So like I said, you're going to do an LSBLKF because you want to see what the name of your drive is. And we know the name is crypto_2, and for some reason the underscore is not showing up there, but I know there's an underscore there. So I'm going to clear the screen. Well, let's just do an LSBLK. I'm going to type in crypt setup open space dash dash type lux space dev, and mine is VDA2, and I'm going to give it the name crypto_lux. Now, like I said, when I did my manual installs with encryption, I usually called it My Drive or My Install. So if I called it My Drive, that's where you would put it. You leave a space after VDA2 and you type in My Drive. And when I did that, I didn't, like I said, I didn't use an underscore and I didn't use any caps. I didn't use capital letters, and the word Lux wasn't there, even though it's encrypted with Lux. I hope that makes sense. So you have to put the correct name in there. So I'm going to hit enter. And you know what? I spelled crept wrong. Let's clear the screen. I forgot the T. Whoops, and it's not a capital. There we go. Let's try it now. So now it's asking me for my encryption password. Now, here's the thing. If you forgot your encryption password, you won't be able to log into your system with a live ISO, Arch Linux, and fix the system. If you forgot your encryption password, that's it. The only thing you can do is format your hard drive and do a fresh installation. So I'm going to put my password in, put my encryption password in, and now it's opened the system. So now I'm going to mount onto it. Mount dev mapper / and you got to put the name. So this particular one, it's called crypto_lux because that's the name that the automated Arch installer gave it. So crypto_lux /mnt. Now, like I said, I wish I didn't delete that other Arch Linux install, but I'm going to do another one and make a video about it. So like I said, when I made my manual installs of Arch Linux with encryption, I usually named the drive, the encrypted drive, My Drive, with no underscores and no caps and no Lux, even though it was encrypted with Lux. So whatever the name of the drive is. So if you called it my drive or my install, then you would type that in instead of crypto_capital Lux. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not repeating myself too much or over explaining it. Anyways, let's see if we can mount to it. And there we are, we've mounted to it. Now, if you need to mount into the boot partition, you would just mount into it the normal way. You don't have to open it up. So right now what we've done is, well, let's just do an LSBLK. So what we've done is we've opened up and booted to our mount partition, and we're mounted to it. And like I said, if you lost your encryption password, you're toast. That's it. All you can do is reformat your drive and do a new installation. So if we were mounting into my Arch Linux system where I did a manual install with encryption and I called it my drive or my install, then that would be right here where it says VDA2 and it goes down. Where it says VDA2 and it goes down to, and it says crypto_capital Lux, there it would say my drive or my install. And I never left spaces or used underscores or capitals. So it would be called, you'd see VDA2 goes down and it'd be called my install or my drive, whatever I named it, whatever I labeled it. Okay, so we're mounted to it. Now, if you just need to do a repair, like change your root password or change your user password or add another user or do some other type of thing, you don't need to mount to the boot partition. But if you need to fix grub or make grub or do something in grub, then you need to mount to your boot partition. But mounting to the boot partition is going to be the same as it was in the first part of this video, because the boot partition is not encrypted. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to type in, let's mount to it. So we can see we're mounted to my encrypted drive, but we're not mounted to VDA1. I'm just going to do mount dev VDA1 /mount/boot. Now let's clear the screen. Let's do an LSBLK. Now we can see we're mounted to both. We're mounted to VDA1 to boot, and we're mounted to my crypto Lux /mount. And I guess I'm repeating myself too much, but I'm going to do a manual install of Arch Linux with encryption in a few weeks, and I'm going to show you. So the name is not going to be crypto_capital Lux. I'm going to name it my drive. Or maybe I'll name it my install. It'll be one word with small letters, no Lux and no capitals, but it will still be encrypted with Lux. Okay? I know I'm way over explaining myself and over repeating myself. So now we're mounted to both. So now I need to root into the system. So I'm going to do arch -root /mnt. Now we're rooted into the system. So now if I need to make grub, I can make grub and I can do a repair to my boot partition. If I just need to go into my system and change, if I need to change the root password or the user password, I can do that. So let's ls-a, let's cd into home, let's cd into mensch. Now we're in the mensch directory. Let's clear the screen. Now in this particular installation, I installed 6 wallpapers. So we can see right at the top on that side, we can see Hogsmeade, Nighthawk, Dark Cyan, that's 3. And on this side, we can see at the top, Arch Linux Simply Black, City JPEG, and at the very bottom, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So I have my 6 wallpapers here. Now, let's clear the screen. Now, like I said, once you're logged into the system, you can change your user password, you can change root password, you can add another user or delete a user, or do anything you want in there. So first, we're going to exit. We got to exit because we've rooted into the system, so we're going to exit. And type in exit. So we've exited from the system, but we're still mounted to it. So we're going to do LSBLK. We can see we're still mounted to our, even though we're back on the live ISO and we've exited from being cherooted into the system, we're still mounted to the boot partition and we're still mounted to our main partition. Type in this command, umount. Now it's umount, there's no N in there. I know sometimes I accidentally type in unmount, and it really should be unmount. They should change the command. I don't know why it's umount. It should be unmount. But anyways, it's umount without the N. There's no N for Nancy in there. It's umount, space, capital R, space /MNT. Now let's see if we've unmounted from it. LSB and now we can see we are no longer mounted to VDA1, our boot partition, and we're no longer mounted to our crypt partition. So now we can see we are no longer mounted. Now at this point, we don't need to close the drive or lock it, because we're going to shut down and that's going to automatically close and lock the drive. So now I'm just going to shut down now. That's all you got to do. You don't have to close or lock the drive. In this video, I showed you how to take a thumb drive with a live version of Arch Linux on it and how to log in and connect to your system to do repairs or to make changes in it. And I showed you how to do it even when the system is encrypted. Anyways, I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps it out. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I am the Linux Mensch.